Hello, this is Mark LaRochelle from Productive Computing and Productive Computing University. Thanks for joining us on this video. We wanted to share a preview of a lesson from a certification preparation course that we created in partnership with Claris. This free course will show you how to connect FileMaker to artificial intelligence using large language models. You can take this free course and find certification information at Claris Academy using the link found in the video description. Now, the Claris Academy courses are just the beginning. If you want to explore the Claris platform in far greater depth and take things to the next level, we invite you to consider our training at Productive Computing University. There you'll find courses on all aspects of the platform, including FileMaker Pro, FileMaker Server, Claris Connect, Claris Studio, API integration training, and more, delivered from seasoned professionals with decades of experience in the field. See the links in the description to learn more. And now enjoy a preview from this lesson from the Claris Academy course. In this lesson, we continue to explore the Generate Response from Model script step by making our first set of requests and getting our first set of responses. And I think you'll be amazed at just how much we can do with minimal effort. Okay, let's start with the file we created from a previous lesson. We called it AI. I'll open that now. And if you recall, we really didn't do anything from an interface standpoint. All we did was create a script called configure account. And what that did was set up and establish a configuration so that we could tell it what provider we're using, what our API key is, and we chose the name Cohere. So let's close that now and prepare this file by adding two fields, one for the request or the prompt, and another one for the response. So I'll go here under File, Manage, Database, and we will create those two new fields right now. One for prompt, which is a text field, and one for response, also a text field. Push OK, and then we'll add those to the layout, just like this. And then I'll grab these two and make them bigger so that we can see the text within this. Okay. And now we can create a new script. I'll go to Scripts, Script Workspace, and we'll click a new script, and I'll call this Generate Response. Okay, the first thing we want to do is call the configure account. That way we can ensure that that has run before we actually generate any responses. Now, technically speaking, this configure account only needs to be done once per session, but we will apply this as the first script step as a best practice to ensure that we've got that configured before we continue on. So I'll add a script step, perform script. And the script we want to perform is, in fact, the configure account script. Now that that's done, I can create a new script step called Generate Response from Model. And here we select the account name, which you recall is Cohere. Again, this is a name we came up with as a reference to keep track of which configuration we're looking at. Now, the model is going to be something that you'll want to check the Claris documentation for based on the provider. Providers oftentimes have a multitude of models to choose from, but you'll want to pick one that Claris recommends to ensure that it works properly with these script steps. So for today, I've picked a model here called Command R Plus-08-2024. You want to be very specific when you enter this. Oftentimes, this is case sensitive. Also note that when you're looking at this recording, depending on when that is, this model may have already been replaced with a newer one. So you want to check the Claris docs and keep an eye on these models because this is one of the landscapes that changes very rapidly in the world of AI. That is, models are replaced all the time. So I'll push OK here. Now we've got our account name, we've got our model. Next, we'll decide where the prompt is for the user. So we'll click here, and we will select the field that we created called AI Prompt. And then finally, we'll click on the gear icon here, and we will deselect agentic mode. But one thing I will select here is the response. So I'll click on the response, and we'll identify the field where we want the response to be returned to. That's my field here. And then one last thing, we'll select this stream option, which will stream the response in real time as it's being generated by the AI model. And that's all there is to it. So I'll close this now. So let's add a button, and I'll add a button here. I think I'll just call it Generate Response. Okay, and then I'll give it a quick style so it looks more like a button. There we go. Make sure we assign it to the script. Generate response. Okay, so when I click this button, it will first configure the account, then it will generate the response based on this prompt and return it over here in the response field. 1 + 1 =, and it gives us the response of 2. So what we've effectively done here is, in a sense, created a ChatGPT-like interface directly in FileMaker. The important aspect of this is that we now have control programmatically over what the prompt is going to say, and we have programmatic control over what we do with the response once we receive it. So let's experiment with some more prompts. I can ask a question about something that the model is likely already trained on, such as, how does the FileMaker while function work? You can see a good example of that streaming here. So obviously you can get creative and have it create things from scratch. Write a 1-paragraph email greeting for a new customer who just purchased our flagship product. It even put in the merge fields for us. Okay, now let's experiment with temperature. To adjust temperature, you can do that in the same script step. I'll go back into the script and we'll look at generate response and look at the options here. You'll notice a temperature option. So I'll click on that, and then we can set the temperature. Generally, models are set between 0 and 1. Some models actually go from 0 to 2. So you'll have to check the documentation of a given model to know what the temperature range is. In general, a 0 temperature will be the most predictable, the least amount of variety. You can think of it as the least creative. So let's start with that. And I will save the script, and then we'll say testing 1, 2, 3. And we'll generate a response. Hello there, I'm here to help. What can I do for you today? Now let's adjust the temperature. Back into the script. And we'll go all the way to the extreme, which is 1. And see if it makes a difference. This is an AI assistant chatbot ready to assist you. How can I help you today? So potentially a little bit more verbose of a response, maybe a little more creative, but not much. What I found with temperature over the years is that it is becoming less and less of an influencer the newer the models get. There's a desire by the manufacturers to make the models more predictable with less hallucinations. So what that ultimately means, at least in my experience, is that the temperature is having less influence on the model's results. So this is one of those areas where you'll have to do your own testing to see how that affects you one way or another. The exact effects of temperature have a lot to do with both the prompt and the model that you choose. Let's quickly recap what we learned in this lesson. We created fields for both the prompt and the response, allowing us direct integration with our FileMaker file. We saw a demonstration of how streaming works. We experimented with a few basic prompts, sending the request to the model and receiving a response back. And finally, we briefly explored the temperature option available in the script step. If you want to take your knowledge further, consider enrolling in a course or a course bundle at productivecomputinguniversity.com. Details and links are below in the description. Thanks for watching.